Hello, Africa. My name is Eunice Tornyi, and you are watching eTVGhana's African Women's Voices show, the show that tackles with issues pertaining to women as they contribute to national development. Last week was exciting, where we talked about the characteristics of people born on several days within the week. From Sunday to Saturday, we're discussing traits about these people and how it influences our marriage, influences what we do or the decisions we take, even as we work with people, even among siblings, from parents to a child, and every form of relationship was catered for. So if you missed it, you could just check it out on YouTube for that particular episode on the influence of the days that we are born on our personality and our lives. Okay, enough talk about last week. Today we are fresh and alive and want to give God the praise for giving us another day, even in these COVID times. And I'd like to say that if you are just joining us for the first time, I'd like you to know that we are live on Facebook at eTVGH. So whenever you don't get the chance to watch me on TV, you can always watch me on Facebook Live, okay? So we've got some messages here which I'd like you to know. And the first one is from the Global Media Alliance Group. And this month of July is our automobile month. So July is a month of wheels at GMABC, which means Global Media Alliance Broadcasting. Partner with our brands, YFM, Happy FM, and eTVGhana in the month of July to be part of our in-depth discussion on licensing, ownership, maintenance, and everything automobile. You can have an opportunity to promote your automobile brands, accessories, and services across all our television and radio stations on our digital platforms as well. It's the GMABC Automobile Month throughout the month of July. Keep your dial right here and let's warm up for great conversations in this month of July. For enquiries and sponsorship, please call or WhatsApp 020-2222-095 or 024-288-45571. And we also have another message from one of our sponsors, Chana Sheto. Chana has been really supportive of the African Women's Voices show. And the message from them is that Chana Sheto is your #1 choice when it comes to black pepper sauce. Nti Sheto de, if you want to have that very good and unique taste in your cooking and in the after of your meals, please make sure that you support it with Chana Sheto. In fact, Chana Sheto and Kahwa onye del. Nti Chana Sheto is not just the regular Sheto. Do you know why? Because it is a Sheto with a difference. Chana Sheto has got chunks of shrimps and herrings with a great taste. Chana Sheto, food just got tastier. I'm already feeling the taste because Chana has really been supporting my meals there and has made my meals really fantastic. I'm speaking out of experience. You can find Chana Sheto at Max Mart, Garden Mart, and Frames Oil Mart at Manette. For bulk purchase, call 02, then the 4, we need you to dial it 4 times. So 0244448180 or 024-097-4461. Follow them on all social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and get more information about Chana Sheto. I'm going to be taking a little break from you right now because we have to move over to our 60 seconds update segment where we give you news from around the world and what's happening, around Ghana as well. So do stay tuned. When we return, I'm going to be talking to you about the guests we're going to be chatting with today. Do stay tuned.
Mahama picks Nana Akufo-Addo as running mate for 2020 election. National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Mahama has picked his former education minister Nana Akufo-Addo as running mate for the 2020 elections. Professor Akufo-Addo's vice presidential candidacy was revealed at a meeting of the NDC National Executive Committee at the party's headquarters in Adabraka in Accra on Monday. In response to this, she said, "I am humbled by the overwhelming endorsement my nomination has received from the founder of the NDC, Jerry John Rawlings, the Council of Elders, the National Executive Committee, and the rank and file of our party, as well as the general public." Rebecca Foundation commissions 2 libraries in 2 communities. The Rebecca Foundation has handed over 2 libraries to the people of Dafiami Buse Isa district in the Upper West region and Wenchi in the Bono region to boost reading and learning among school children in the 2 regions. The libraries are part of 4 libraries constructed by the Rebecca Foundation in parts of the country to inculcate the habit of reading on school children. The library project formed part of the Rebecca Foundation Learning to Read and Reading to Learn initiative, started in 2018 to help improve literacy levels among Ghanaian children. Nomination for the 2020 Ghana Outstanding Women Awards to open July 30th. Nominations for the 3rd edition of the Ghana Outstanding Women Awards, GOA, will officially open on Thursday, July 30th, 2020. The awards gala set for October celebrates outstanding women devoted to the welfare of humanity and the development of society and has positively impacted the country and beyond. Mrs. Efo Asantwa Edionum, Chief Executive Officer of ASCOF Productions, organizers of the award, says they look to acknowledge game changers in their respective fields of endeavors, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And you're welcome back. Just before I introduce our guests, we still have some messages from other sponsors of ours, and this one is from PPE. It says, stay safe and protected in quality and affordable PPEs, such as disposable protection face mask, KN95, face shields, goggles, thermometer guns, powdered examination gloves, disposable protective clothing, etc. PPE offers retail and wholesale services to people within Accra and Tema, as well as deliveries. So you can locate them within the Thai Massage Building in Osu and Community 12 Tema, Edu Market Kumasi, or you can call them on 059 5161 205 or 059 2406 921 or on 0244 546 844. So do not just go out and look for protective, attire for yourself in these COVID times. PPE is asking you to give them a call to be able to get the certified one and the one that will actually protect you. So moving on, we are going to be talking about Voltic. Exactly 1 month ago, Voltic won the award of Water of the Year, and we are proud to be associated with Voltic. So, it used to be said that you should not say water. Once you feel dehydrated, you need to rehydrate yourself with none else than Voltic. And the message from Voltic to us today is that you should look out at vantage points, bins that they have put there, to ensure that once you're done drinking your Voltic, you just put them in there and they'll come and dispose them. Voltic is very interested in our environment and does not want us to, go ahead and be putting out waste all over the area. So for that reason, they have put out bins for you to be able to just dispose them in there. So once you get your Voltic, twist it, recycle it, and then get it dumped in the bin at vantage points. Okay, so it's time for us to talk about what it is that we have to discuss today. And it's about, we've been hearing frontline workers in this, coronavirus times, and it's all been about health workers, and we really want to give them all the thumbs up and the kudos for all the good things they've been doing and the sacrifices. We really appreciate them. Today, we are going to be looking at a different aspect of frontline workers, and we are looking at establishments, firms. Who do you think are the frontline workers of these establishments, even in these corona times? They are the HR practitioners, because they're the ones that look out for us and always speaking, out, to us, trying to get us to be safe and to get things to run smoothly in organizations. I won't be saying much because we have an HR practitioner here who is a seasoned one that will take us through exactly what it is an HR person does in an establishment. Join me as I make welcome Fafa Gbeho. How are you, Fafa?
Thank you very much. I'm fine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to be talking to you. And you know what? Fafa is a very interesting lady who really takes her time to put things in perspective. So if you need to get your book and your pencil or pen, sit down and jot whatever it is that she's going to be saying to you today about, what she does as an HR practitioner. So let's just go straight into the conversation. Who will we say is an HR practitioner?
That's a very interesting question and the basis for why we have HR people. Your HR practitioner is your advisor. Your HR practitioner is your counselor, your administrator, and your auditor. A lot of people don't like us for the last bit, the auditor. And people prefer us for the first bit being your counselor.
Okay.
In terms of being an advisor, the HR person or practitioner is supposed to give advice to management for the company to achieve its goals and objectives, let's say for a given year or a given period of time. As your counselor, whenever workers within the organization have issues or conflicts, it could be worker to worker in terms of your colleagues, or it could be an employee and their supervisor. The HR person is supposed to come in, serve as a counselor to sort out some of these things. Okay. When you are an auditor, you help to give advice to take good decisions. But your counselor would more help you in terms of the emotional or personal aspects, and then also how those impact on your work as an employee in the business. The HR practitioner also serves as your administrator. So as the administrator, there are lots of things that have to be put in place in terms of your policies and your procedures. So the HR practitioner puts those things in place within an organization to maintain a flowing system and then order and sanity in the workplace. Okay. Then the last one has to do with being an auditor and checking and making sure that these policies and procedures that have been put in place are being adhered to as expected. Because once all this is being done, then your company is focused and on track to hit their targets and achieve their goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of the time, workers, we are really interested in welfare and the money. So when you say you are the auditor, most of the time, auditor speaks to us in terms of our money, our salaries, and our payments and all that. So does it mean that it's the HR practitioner who sits with management to determine how salaries should look like in a company, or do they make certain recommendations around our salaries?
Well, HR practitioners have been trained on how to put salaries together. But in an ideal system, you don't just give salaries. You're looking at the sustenance of the company. Okay. So the company must also look at its budget and what can it do, or what some people may call ability to pay. And then you will draw out a structure for your company. So what happens is that, fine, you have your company, you have your goals. Based on the goals, you then know what kind of organizational structure you want to put up. Based on the organizational structure, you can determine which departments you will need, and from there, you draw out the specific individual jobs or duties that you need people to perform. So in that case, it helps you to determine your staffing.
Okay.
Which person do you want to put in which position? What job are they supposed to perform? All those things come back to your goals and objectives. So you wouldn't employ somebody who does not fit in your goal to be there, because it means they'll be doing nothing. And once you determine your staffing system and your levels, you then can tell, they do something called job evaluation. So in job evaluation, you sit down and assign points to certain levels of jobs using certain criteria. Job experience, you also have qualification, professional academic qualification. You have so many other factors, the risk involved, maybe the character or personal technical competencies that you expect the person to have for you to determine all these things and determine salary. So usually when the job evaluation is done, when each job is measured and the value is given to the job, it is on that basis that salary is determined.
Okay.
On structure or levels.
Okay.
Good. So
right.
Really in an ideal system, there would be a structure for salaries. So people know that when I'm on this level, this is the salary. When I'm here, this is the salary. So usually that is what may happen.
Okay. All right. So since you were saying something around you having to make some demands or some presentations to management, it means that you work with management a lot, and sometimes if it's a one-man business or a privately owned company, you have a lot of relationship with the superiors up there. So would it be okay to say that even though you are an employee of the company, you are likely to be biased towards what it is these employers of yours have got? So for want of a better word, more like your interest is more geared towards the bosses or the owner of the company, much more than the staff, the human resource themselves.
This is a general impression that people have, that HR practitioners are more inclined to be biased towards the bosses. But here's the thing. The HR person is in the company because of the goals and objectives that the company must achieve. So the HR practitioner's priority is actually the company. But then the goals and the objectives are determined from, let's say, the board of directors. And it cascades down to the CEO and management, and HR is at the management level. So people have to then understand that management, CEOs, MDs, and the board have the company's best interest at heart. And that is the priority. How do we sustain the business? How do we make the business grow? How do we make the business relevant? If we cannot achieve all these three, the business will collapse. Everybody will be out of job and at home.
This is interesting to hear that you are actually supposed to be looking out for the interests of the company, because from even the name of the role, human resource, it makes us all understand that we as workers are actually the focal point. But from what you're saying right now, the focal point for the HR practitioner in every company is to look out for the interests of the company first.
Yes, please. That is how it is.
Did you all know that? Okay. Anyway, I still have some more questions to ask, because we think we really need to get some things really straightened up so that we know how to channel our grievances and even our colleagues, you know, when we have to. So now it's more about the company first before the human resource.
The human resource is the company, and the company is the human resource. And the human resource is everybody, from the CEO all the way down to anybody who is at your entry level of employment. So people need to have a sense of ownership when they are in a company.
Okay.
Don't see it like, well, it's not my business, so I mean, I don't care. My father doesn't own the business, or my mother doesn't own the business. That's, once you're in the company, you should own the company in everything that the company does. Own your CEO, own your management, and own yourself in the company, and project the company. You now become an ambassador of that company. So it is your duty to project your company in a good light, protect the image of your company, and do everything you can to build the revenue for the company. Now, in saying that, we also have to take into consideration the fact that the company, like I said, based on ability to pay, will also do what it can for its employees. If a company decides that they want to do the bidding of employees all the time, The company will do everything, give the employees the world and collapse.
Okay.
But if a company really cares about its employees, it will do whatever it can to sustain them. No matter how little it is, at least you have something to do that at least will bring you a little revenue. Otherwise, your situation could have been worse and you would not have anything doing and have no source of income at all. And depending on where you work, once you put your all in it, there are opportunities you can get aside from your actual tasks to do more and earn more.
Okay, I will be coming back to you, but I need to take a quick commercial break. But viewers, when we come back, I'm going to be asking her questions about how she relates with the bosses who are supposed to be employees. Let's get to know what the HR person does when it is the boss who is not doing the right thing this time. So you get to know that right after this commercial break. To stay tuned. And you are welcome back from that quick commercial break, and I hope you took note of the health tip there. Do not just read through the health tips. We have them there for you to be able to practice them, okay? So we had a very interesting session today on Happy FM and on GBC, where the ambassador to China, His Excellency Edward Boateng, and Musa Frimpong and Mr. Zhu Jing of the Chinese Embassy here in Accra were talking about 60 years of Ghana-China relations. And the theme was around the impact and way forward in the new normal. And the hosts were Samuel Ishan, who is our presenter for Happy FM Morning Show, and Abdullahi Momin, the presenter for GBC News. The good thing about it is that if you missed it in the morning, do not fret. We are going to be having a repeat broadcast on eTVGhana at 8 p.m. today. So tune in at 8 p.m. and then get to know what it is that the discussion was about. Maybe you want to start some business, you know, from here into China or from China into Ghana. This is for you. You need to see what the relationship between these two countries has brought about for us and the way forward. Okay, so let's continue with our conversation. Before we went on the break, I told you I was going to be asking Fafa what happens if the company owner or somebody who is high placed in a company is the one who is flouting. Let's say, for instance, abuse of power is something a lot of people, you know, face, you know, in a company. You have bosses or superiors treating people wrongly and abusing their position, and it seems like nobody calls them to order. What exactly is the role of the HR person in a situation like this?
Oh, wow. This is a very, very interesting question. What I'll say is that it starts also from, in terms of the HR person, the fact that the HR person has to be somebody who is credible, who has integrity, somebody who can win the trust of management and at the same time even the employees within the company.
Okay.
If you are a business owner or even in multinationals where you have structures and people want to misbehave, senior level people, the onus then lies on the HR practitioner there to sit with the business owner or the CEO or the MD and explain to them what the situation is and why things should not be done this way and why it should be done the other way. What I will say is that any business owner who does not listen at least to what the HR is saying probably then doesn't care about their business.
Okay.
Especially if your HR person is somebody who tells you the truth all the time. Sometimes there are relationships where you have the HR person, you know, strong enough to tell the management that, well, this is wrong. These are the implications. And don't forget, the HR practitioner gives advice. Advice can be taken or not taken. But whatever is done, know that there are consequences, there are implications for your action or inaction. And that is how you roll. If a business owner is the one who is
abusing their power.
Yeah, abusing their power or perpetrating injustices against their staff, most of the time what would then happen is that the CEO reports to the board. It means that such issues have to be taken to the board to deal with it. But we would not always want things to go that far. So it is important that CEOs or leadership should have also a very high level of emotional intelligence, because that is critical to having a successful business. And be a CEO or maybe have management that listen. Because when you listen, even if people are telling you things you don't like, you can take out the substance from the chaff and then work on the substance.
Okay, so you're saying that the role of an HR person is quite risky when it comes to this situation. It's just that the person has to be professional enough to be able to spell it out to that, superior person that this is what it is and there are consequences, without thinking as to whether it could cost him or her job. Well,
yeah, sometimes it does get to that extent. I think there have been instances where people have resigned on principle. People have resigned on principle. So, I mean, well, it's rare, but there have been those sort of instances, but that is really going very far with that, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now that we have an understanding that a professional HR person is supposed to be able to look out for the interests of the company and then ensure that the company's policies and goals are achieved in the best organized way, let's come down to the new normal we are facing right now, which has to do with the coronavirus. So we have a lot of strains, that we are all going through, and everybody is trying to adjust to the new situation we find ourselves in. Of course, they are not perfect situations now because everybody is experiencing it for the first time. I'd like to know from you, what are the measures the HR practitioner, ought to put in place to ensure that, the goals of the company, are kept on? Because initially, I would have said, what is the HR person putting in place to ensure the safety of the employees? But from what you just educated us on right now, it's not only about the employees, it's about the bigger picture, which is the company itself. So what measures do you think every HR person is supposed to put in place?
Okay. When you look at the Labour Act, Ghana Labour Act 2003, Act 651, it stated in section 9 about the duties of the employer. And one of the duties of the employer is to ensure that the employee works in a safe environment. When you go to section 11 of the same Ghana Labour Act 2003, Act 651, you have in section 11 the duties of the employee or the duties of the worker, which also states that as much as the employer owes you that safe environment, you also have to make sure that you are safe and your colleagues are safe as well. So bottom line, the company owes the employee the duty of care to keep himself or herself safe. And so does the employee owe themselves the duty of care to keep themselves safe.
Okay.
In that context, a lot of companies are putting in measures, and they have been from the beginning. A lot of them have systems for hand washing. Now we have vantage points when you enter a lot of places, even shops, factories, companies or firms. They have vantage points for hand washing, which we are told is one of the recommendations by the World Health Organization, and also being echoed by our Ghana Health Service, that we should wash our hands regularly. That's how we started, and we're told not to touch our faces and then keep the social distancing, which sometimes I prefer to call physical distancing, because sometimes it's not social, but maybe we are working on anything. So the physical distance is very important, with a minimum of 1 meter to 2 meters. And then, as we moved along, we realized that it became critical to put on the masks. So we started doing that. And now we've graduated to face shields. And a lot of organizations have provided the vantage point for hand washing. They've provided sanitizers for employees, either at vantage points, or some have even gone to the extent of providing portable or handy sanitizers which people can keep in their pockets or in their purses. Then again, masks have been provided. Some companies have been able to even provide disposable masks for their employees. Some have also made custom-made masks with our African print fabric for staff, which is along the lines of what is approved by the Food and Drugs Authority, and then the Standards Authority, where you should have a 3-layer mask, okay, which was initially done by the Rich Hospital, or the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Okay, so a lot of companies have taken steps to put all these things in place, but the numbers kept increasing. And this is where now, as much as company has done what they can for you, you must also have a duty of care and responsibility for yourself. So you should make sure that you adhere to these protocols. Some companies have put in place movement logs. So anytime you go out, you fill the log when you come back. Because if, God forbid, there is
a situation,
somebody testing positive, we may refer to that for contact tracing.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted us to really, put a lot of focus on, because when it comes to the hand washing and sanitizing, it seems like everybody is, trying to do the best out of it. But when it comes to having this log of how people are moving and the people that they are getting in touch with, I want us to have a look at that part and see how the HR person is ensuring this.
The truth is that when people talk about enforcement, then they always want to talk about sanctions. But that is why we want to emphasize on the duty of care. In the duty of care, be responsible for yourself. Be conscious of your safety, because it's not just about in the workplace. When you leave work, you're going home. Yeah,
because we're going to continue that conversation, because we are seeing it that a lot of us work. So if we are able to get this culture from our workplaces, it's very possible that we could translate it into the society. So that's why we are really hitting on the HR people, because you will be the ones to carry us, because we spend a lot of time at work anyway, even though we have to go on rotation now based on what the government has recommended. If we learn these practices from what HR says we should do at the office, it's easier to get us to practice them outside there. So the log is very important because of the contact tracing, right?
Exactly. Because of the contact tracing, it's very, very critical. That is why we've had to ask people to rotate. There are some organizations where, since this thing started in March, even before in March, I mean before the president actually declared a partial lockdown, some organizations already started asking their staff to work from home. But it depends on the nature of the job that you do, because some jobs just cannot be done from home.
Okay.
Those who are in broadcasting, you see that they keep working. Yeah,
the essential services people that
the
were
essential
outlined.
Services, yeah. So you have to just be careful. Now there's a need. There is a critical need for us to educate people on the wearing of the mask.
Okay.
Because people think that once I put on the mask, I am protected. But that is not the case. When you put on the mask, you protect the other person. But people need to understand that. So for the few who I have met, I had to literally tell them, let's say I want to stop and buy something. I actually tell the person, put on the mask before you speak to me.
Bye.
And so I wanted to buy an earpiece, and I told the gentleman to please put on the mask. Then he said, oh, but you are wearing yours, so you are okay. And I said, no, I'm protecting you so that I don't spit on you. And so you should put yours on so that you don't spit on me. So then he was like, hey, oh, okay. He went and got his mask and put it on.
Okay, so talking about what is happening around us and the ways we are supposed to ensure that we keep ourselves safe, we are also going to be looking at the safety of the people who work in the various companies. This corona times has been characterized by job cuts. So how challenging is it for you as an HR person to have to break that news to an employee? Because we know that most companies are not recruiting now. Since, the economy is actually not going upwards, I mean, it's dwindling, so people are not recruiting. So telling someone that for some reasons the person cannot continue to be an employee of that company, that must be a challenge, right?
Yes, it's a challenge. But let me just say that companies have been terminating employment of staff even before Corona came around. So it's difficult anyway, with Corona or without Corona. It's tough. But like I said, you look at the company and the company's sustenance. So it all just goes back to that and what the company can do. And then you have to take such a tough decision. For those who stay in the company and work, it means that you will probably have to work more for the same amount of money if you are lucky and your pay hasn't been cut, or you may end up taking a little less than what you are used to taking, because we are not in normal times. And a lot of employees in various companies, I think, have been quite understanding of this and continue to work. In fact, a lot of them even value their job now because they realize that if they lose their job, chances of getting something else is a bit limited. Of course, some companies are still recruiting, because when you look at your goals and what you need to achieve, if you do need to fill a role, maybe because that role is critical, you have to fill it anyway, even in COVID times. So it's not the end of the world at all. For some, it's now the beginning of new opportunities, you see, because they are providing solutions that are necessary during this period of time.
So how best do you think it is to tell an employee that the services are no longer needed in a company?
It is never fun.
So do you Zoom the person, or do you have a phone call?
Well, it depends on it depends on the situation or the context. You may invite people in and they will come in and meet with you. But let's say the person is out of town, or the person cannot come in immediately. And I mean, it has to be done. So you could use other means. You could do it on phone, or now you have Zoom, etc. You use that avenue at least to look at the person face to face and explain the situation to them. And most times, in my experience, they have accepted.
Okay.
There are times when people have not accepted and may choose to pursue redress elsewhere. But I mean, it is what it is. Because
emotional health is very vital to every company, and even though the person is no longer going to be working with you, do HR practitioners, or is it the ideal situation for an HR person to follow up on somebody that have exited, to ensure that the person has taken the exit, well, so that we don't end up hearing that, oh, the person, after he or she lost the job, has, developed some mental disorder or even committed suicide or something? Is it the right thing that has to be done? Is there something like that? Because we don't really see it happening, where people are exited and then there's a follow-up on them.
Well, probably the HR person is the last person they want to speak to.
Okay.
So what would happen in an ideal situation is that if you were terminating the employment of somebody, you would have a psychologist there or someone so that they could go and speak to that person if they so wish. Some may decide that they don't want to use that service. Okay. It would be good to make such a service available. But with the follow-up, for people that maybe I've had to speak to, right from at the point of termination, because there was an understanding, if you speak to them later, they might even call you and say, I want to do this, or I want to collect this, or I need that. So that's the level of enmity is quite low. let me say. But it is, you have to give that person also some time. You can't terminate them today and call them the next day and be saying, hey, how is everything? Let's go out. And I mean, they need time to also heal and get over it. That is why generally as workers, we need counseling, and we need to develop ourselves, our person. I don't mean like training, but as a human being, you need to mature and grow and gain what we call emotional intelligence. It is very critical in the life of any human being to be emotionally intelligent, because when you are emotionally intelligent, then you are able to face situations very calmly, very head-on, and more in a solution-oriented context than, you know, crying over something, you see. But emotional intelligence really, I don't really know if it's something that you can be taught per se, but it's something that you can also develop within yourself over time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so talking about emotional intelligence, we will be taking an inspirational quote. I think it's going to help us emotionally, because when it comes to job cuts, people really get sad. We'll be right back after this. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back, and the phone lines have been activated. So if you have any challenge or any issue or contribution you want to put across concerning our discussion, well, you're free to do so. The WhatsApp line is on your screen, and you could call us, and then you can call us right now and we'll take your contribution. And the number is 055 65 7278. 0555 65 7278. Call us, okay? All right, so you talked about the fact that people have to be emotionally intelligent. So fine, emotionally, we are all trying to be intelligent. So because of that, we will be accepting extra work, because maybe somehow we may find ourselves in situations whereby some people have been relieved of their jobs. So we need to also step up and see how we can do our work and also support the aspect where the loss had taken place. So we also want to see how emotionally intelligent the company will also be towards us. I'm talking about deliverables. Sometimes the timelines are not friendly, okay? So we know that a lot of us are working from home. So for that reason, it's possible that maybe you have children, or you have got family, or you've got a lot of distraction around you. And yet, some kind of timelines are given to you to put out, you know, a deliverable. Well, as workers, is this really fair to the workers if it happens that the emotional intelligence that we are expected to have is also not coming from the company we seem to be working for?
Well, I would say that a lot of the employees are quite cooperative and doing their very best. And I'm sure that a lot of management in companies acknowledge that. Then again, we have to appreciate the fact that this is not the norm for us, working from home, in a general sense of it. Maybe for those who work in multinationals, it may be a culture where you work Monday to Thursday, and let's say either every Friday or let's say every other Friday, you can work from home. And maybe in such settings, it may promote productivity or something of the sort. But every company is unique. And so you look at the context in which you work. Working from home may just not work for some. And that is the reality. And then there are some who can also work from home. And now companies have had to adjust.
Okay, so please, if you can just hold on. I'm told that we have a caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Nice program.
Thank you. So please, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Clifford calling from Teshi.
Oh, okay. Theophilus from Teshi. Please, how is Teshi today?
No, Clifford.
Oh, Clifford from Teshi.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Talk to us.
Yeah, I wanted to find out, in an ideal situation, is it the role of the HR to help an employee who has lost his or a job to relocate in terms of getting a different job?
Okay. All right. That's an interesting one. So please, she's going to take your question right now, so you can listen, okay? All right.
Okay. Hello, Clifford. I think that it is not a responsibility of the HR practitioner to help you find another job, but HR practitioners do have access to various opportunities. So imagine if the HR person had to terminate the employment of someone and that person is just insulting the HR person and insulting the HR person. Then now this is where the emotional intelligence comes in. If you see an opportunity that that person fits in, would you send it to them or not? It would be good to send it to them. They can decide that they won't try.
Okay.
Okay. And I mean, in a situation where you have to terminate somebody's employment, but there is understanding and you are still in touch and friendly with the person, I don't think that in that context, an HR person who sees opportunities or has access to vacancies in other organizations because of the networks they belong to will hesitate to send such a person an opportunity if they see one.
Okay, so Clifford, the advice here is if you are leaving, shut the door well. If you do not shut the door properly, then you cut ties with, you know, the help you would have been able to get from your former employer. Okay, so please, whoever it is that you were asking the question for on his or her behalf, this is our advice, and we are asking that when the person gets a new job, we would like to hear about it. Okay. All right. So we still have more questions to ask of you, but unfortunately we are really pressed for time. So we would like you to use this opportunity to talk to employers and employees, you know, in these times, because for employers, the reason why we really need you to be able to talk to them for us is because we also need some level of understanding from them. And for employees, well, you already deal with them already, so you understand. So please, you have your camera here. You can talk to us now.
So, hello everyone. I want to speak to all workers of Ghana, whether you are an employer or whether you are an employee. We should always put our company first. Let us work together in unity and in harmony. Promote mutual respect and value other people's opinions or views on a subject. During this period of the coronavirus pandemic, I want to urge everyone to encourage your next colleague, your boss, your supervisor to observe the protocols and to keep safe. Let us be one another's keeper. If somebody is not putting on their mask, tell them. If they think you are being rude, you tell them you care about them. Let's make sure that we wash hands regularly, because we also go home and we have our families there, our parents, our children. We need to protect everybody around us. Please, let's stay safe, let's observe the protocols, and let's be one happy family in Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fafa. It was really wonderful having you here. And to you, our viewers, I'd like to say we're going to see you same time next week at 4 p.m. on eTVGhana. And then, it's so sad to go, but today is the final episode for this season. But we're not going anywhere. We'll come back to you with exciting, intriguing, educating program that is still going to keep you glued to eTVGhana. Our programs are really top-notch, and we carefully select the topics that we treat you every time. So if you do not see us next week, it's because we are just bringing you a fresher part of a new season, and that will not be long at all, okay? But we'll still be keeping in touch with you via our social media platforms. So if you have any further questions to ask around eTVGhana's African Women's Voices show, you will definitely get your answers there. The repeat broadcast of this particular show is on Saturday at 12 noon. So see you in season 3. Bye-bye.